Okay, we are live. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Pranav Thakker, CEO of Sufalam Technologies, and today we are going to discuss about importance of IT security and compliances. For that, we have a great expert with us, Mr. Kalpesh Shah from Cloudserve Systems. So let me first introduce Kalpesh. So Kalpesh Shah is a senior cloud and security consultant with 28 plus years of experience. Kalpesh is certified information system security professional and a certified project management professional. He provides consultations on IT security, data privacy, and IT compliances. Kalpesh has experience in designing and managing large data centers and the cloud systems across the globe. Welcome, Kalpesh.
Yeah, thank you, Pranav. Thanks for nice words.
So today we want to understand more about IT security and compliances. My first question is like, see, in today's era, everyone is aware about IT security, and there is lot of words is being separate, like said about IT security. However, for IT compliances, many people and many companies, even the startups, are not aware about the IT compliances. So, can you differentiate between IT security and IT compliances?
Yeah, sure, Pranav. So, see, you rightly told like security is nowadays means much better understood and explained by most of the people, organizations, and people do care how to secure their IT systems, IT applications, and how to prevent hacking or unauthorized intrusion into their systems. So always, that is easily understandable, at least now, by organizations and people. People do care to create custom security policy for their respective organizations. So you can define like what are the requirements for your organization. For example, bank might have stringent requirement. Some normal business might not be having that kind of stringent requirement. So it is always okay if you are deciding your business needs and corresponding IT security policy. So that is IT security. As such,
Right.
everybody wants to have their IT system secured. Hackers should not hack, or malware should not be coming to their systems. So those are obviously basic things. But apart from that, there are standards available, like how to compare apple versus orange. So like in any other field, similar standards are available in information security domain as well. For example, ISO has come out with ISO 27001 standard, which is
Okay.
basically ISMS standard, Information Security Management System standard, against
Okay.
which organization can demonstrate like they are taking security
Hmm.
seriously. They have designed and implemented their systems as per this ISO standard. So it will provide some sort of assurance to various stakeholders, whether they are investors into their organizations, whether they are employees into their organization, or whether they are customers to their organizations, because ultimately customers are going to use their systems and their data should also to be secured.
Okay.
So standards definitely help into that. Similarly, there are other compliance similar security standards are available. Complying to that particular standard demonstrates your your assurance as well as your commitment to security. And
I see.
client can compare. For example, if they would like to buy or subscribe to any particular business system, then they are going to check whether a particular company or particular product is having compliance to which kind of standard, and it will provide assurance to them that their data will remain secure. So
I
that is
understood.
importance of compliance. Yeah.
Great, great. So for let's say if we talk about IT security, so for any startup who is having their products or any enterprise who are running an enterprise solution or maybe custom solution, so which are
Right.
the major points or major parameters which needs to be considered for IT security?
Okay. Yeah, so very good question, Pranav. So basically, see, security is basically triad of three things: confidentiality, integrity, and availability.
Okay.
Your data and information should always remain confidential. It should not be disclosed Like for example, if you are storing credit card data and if it is to be disclosed on internet, then obviously it is going to be disaster, right? So
Right.
confidentiality is obviously utmost thing. Second one is integrity. Data or information should not be changed in unauthorized way, because if somebody is hacking system and changing your data or displaying something else on your website, it is obviously again disaster. So after confidentiality or privacy, integrity of data is also paramount. Third thing
Excellent.
is availability of systems. If
Right.
your systems are not available as intended 24 by 7 or during regular office hours, then obviously it is of no use. So DOS, denial of service or DDoS kind of attacks should not be there on your systems.
Right.
So privacy or confidentiality, integrity, and availability of systems are basically part of security. All these
That's
three things are important.
a great knowledge, and you rightly summarize in three words like privacy, integrity, and availability.
Right.
So that is very good things to know. So now let's see if we talk about the IT compliances. So whether if I am an enterprise running a lot of software in house or on the cloud, or whether I am a product company, I am a maybe a startup or product company. What why first of all why the compliance is required for them as a product company or as a enterprise.
Right. So see, basically, requirement of compliances are from different entities.
Mm-hmm.
First thing is either government or regulatory or statutory bodies. For example, if you are running any fintech kind of application, then
Okay.
obviously card data should be secured. Otherwise,
Def-
Visa or Mastercard will not allow you to integrate their systems with cards.
right.
So obviously that is similarly means government. For example, if you are selling something to US federal government, then they are having NIST kind of standards like NIST 853, or so you need to comply to that standard so that government is I mean comfortable that their data and information whichever is put on your system would remain secure. So similarly, some geographic considerations, like if you want to sell something in Europe, then obviously GDPR will come into play, like data of citizens of European Union (EU) should remain secure on your systems. So one is like statutory requirements. There are no options. You need to comply, right? There
Right.
are regulations. So that is obviously first thing when people or organizations think of compliance. Second one could be it is from customers. For example, customers are having choices. They can go to company A, company B, or company C for their requirements, some SaaS subscription or some upfront buying. Then they will obviously see like whether to buy from company A or company B, what kind of security compliances they are following, because customer will not understand your custom security policy, right? They
Right.
will not go into detail like what you are securing, how you are securing. It is simple, the standardization. Like if you are having SOC 2 compliant or compliance, or if you are having PCI DSS compliance, then they will consider that my data and information will remain secure on systems. So they will prefer to buy from obviously compliant companies.
Agree.
Enterprise will obviously buy from uh, very
Vendors
I
who are
mean
certified. Yeah.
very they will buy only from those companies who are also having stringent security policy. Otherwise, they will not allow your system to be part of their network.
Agree.
They
Agree.
will ask whether you are SOC 2 compliant, whether you are ISO 27001 compliant. Then they will consider like the systems of these companies or SaaS subscriptions of these companies are okay to be integrated into their networks. So
Right.
second one would be requirement from prospects or customers. So you need to again comply. Third thing is again either bigger organizations or enterprise considering themselves, like they have created security policy, they are complying, but how to demonstrate to their partners, stakeholders, investors, their customers, instead of demonstrating in custom way, it is always easy, like we are complying to these standards. Employees, again, we know attrition, right? So
Right.
some employees come, some will go. Then how to ensure that security is followed rigorously in spiritual way? Then
Mhm.
obviously compliance is again right solution, because every compliance is also storing artifacts. So
Right.
auditors are regularly validating, checking. So
Right.
you can always demonstrate. So good organizations will go for compliances themselves, and they will use it as marketing tool as well. Like
Agree.
they can market, like we are following this kind of
Definitely, it benefits to for them to get a credibility of one level. So
Yes.
for our viewers, I would like to let them know that with the help of Kalpesh, we have worked with many clients to get them certified for certain compliances, including ISO, SOC, PCI DSS, and that definitely helped them gaining more customers, even the investors, and they got an edge over their competitions by that certification. So whoever is running their startups or the big enterprises having wants to ensure that data privacy security, they should definitely go for the compliances. That definitely helps. So, Kalpesh, having said that, can you just briefly describe about various type of certificates and their benefits and where they are applicable?
Sure. So see, as I mentioned, ISO is a generic certification. ISO always comes out with various kind of certifications in respective domains. So ISO 27001 is ISMS, or Information Security Standard. So any organization can go for it. It is very much generic standard, and it might be first in your compliance journey. Second one could be like if you are selling products in US, then the US AICPA, that is CPA organization in US, has come out with SOC 1 and SOC 2 standards. So they
Okay.
basically they ensure like how you are complying to secure your financial data, how you are securing your operations, and how you are complying to common criteria. Criteria is nothing but security, confidentiality, privacy, and availability controls, set of controls. So it will demonstrate like you are complying to SOC 2, let us say, or SOC 1. And obviously, prospective customers will have assurance that your IT systems or your product is having sufficient security, and they can go for subscribing to your SaaS products, or they can buy your products because you are having SOC 2 certification. So SOC certification is very much prevailing in US.
Yes.
Same way, if you would like to sell your products in Europe, then GDPR is not just compliance, but it is regulation. You need
True.
to comply. They will not come and see whether you are complying or not, but penalties are very high.
Right.
So if some breach has occurred, and if you are caught like because of your website or your IT product, uh, data breach has occurred, which has leaked data of European citizens, then you will be liable for heavy penalties. So obviously, once you are selling in Europe, you need to secure yourself. Like you should not be liable to very heavy penalty.
Agree.
Okay. So GDPR will come into play in that way. So some similar certifications are geography specific, like Germany is having their own. India is also coming out with new privacy law. After
Yes.
that, even Indian entities need to be certified for that particular regulation.
Right.
Same way, some standards are industry specific. For
Hmm.
example, we already talked like if we are a fintech company, and
PCI.
either storing, processing, or transmitting card data, then we need to be PCI DSS compliant. There is no choice. You need to be compliant. Then
Agree.
only you will be allowed to do business. Again, there would be heavy penalties even if you are compliant, but some breach has occurred.
Agree.
So that is there. In same way, health tech is or healthcare companies are having HIPAA or high trust kind of certification. HIPAA basically takes care of securing PHI, patient health information.
Right.
So that is again utmost important. Like health information of individuals should not be disclosed in unauthorized way.
Right.
So HIPAA is again very much prevailing standard in US and other developed countries. High trust is again second standard in healthcare.
Okay.
So we also talked about NIST. If you are
Yes.
dealing with federal government, then NIST
Right.
is having suite of standards. Like if you are federal contractor, you need to comply to 853. If you are a federal government agency or any department, then you need to comply with this standard. So there are many cyber security standards available from federal government, which are
Right.
basically applicable to federal government entities, organizations, as well as contractors who are either
Right.
providing services or products to federal government.
Right. Right.
So
So, yeah,
obviously, list is again
very long.
endless, but these are
Yes.
major standards, we can
Agree.
say.
Agree. So yeah, so you have rightly said, like, data privacy is something which is as such a need of an hour, because we are storing lots and lots of our data on a cloud, on the social media, and maybe many of us may not have even a track of it. We are signing to various applications using our social media handles, and then maybe we are not revoking that access once our use is done. So our data is shared on multiple servers, multiple clouds, which needs to be regulated. And for that, data privacy law like GDPR is must. In US it's a HIPAA is for the
Yes,
patient, but I believe for data privacy that is, they are also, they are working seriously on that. Same like in India. So
correct.
right now, this data privacy law GDPR is widely applicable in Europe. So for any startups or any product owners who wants to release their product in Europe, or if any vendor, software vendor like us, software development companies like us, who wants to serve any clients in Europe, what are the points they have to consider for working in Europe?
Yeah, so GDPR is more stringent standard. They are
Right.
even considering phone numbers and email IDs of citizens of EU are
Hmm.
confidential, so it should not be disclosed. Even if, for example, your employees are there from
Right.
Europe, like EU citizens, then their data should data. I mean, just email ID and phone numbers also should not be disclosed from your systems, so that like somebody can call them for marketing or their privacy is being breached. So they are very stringent. So GDPR is utmost stringent regulation. You need to even secure basic information like phone number and email IDs of either employees or customers who are in Europe.
Okay.
So obviously there are again two kind of entities. First one is controllers. For
Hmm.
example, who is owning system. For example, you are having some product, SaaS based product, and subscribers are from Europe. Then their data will reside on your systems. Then you are controller of their data. Then
Right.
your responsibility is again larger. Second
Right.
one would be processors of data. For example, owning, I mean, company who is owning product and data is different, but they
Hmm.
are employing you, offshore
Right.
vendor from India,
Right.
to develop their system, to maintain their system. Then you are called processor.
Right.
So for processors, it is slightly less stringent, but
Okay.
still you need to follow, because ultimately security of chain is like in its weakest link. So for
Right.
example, if product owner company follows all sort of regulations, but they are outsourcing product development in India,
Hmm.
and the Indian entity is not following those kind of stringent
Yes.
regulation, then obviously data will be leaked from Indian soil.
True.
So
True.
both need to be compliant. So again, controls are slightly different for both of them, but
Right.
those are stringent. Like we need to have all sort of technologies in place, starting from firewall,
Hmm.
endpoint security, intrusion detection, prevention, data leakage prevention. All those things of also all those sorts of things are there. Apart from there, you need to stringent processes also. And for example, how you are going to communicate to your clients by chance if data has been breached, then it is also your duty to, because GDPR talks about transparency in detail. Even if something has been breached, it's, how you are going to communicate, whether you are having data protection officer who is going to take care of all those things, all those communications. So all those things should be defined, and if you are taking proactive actions as per GDPR, then obviously you are safe. So ultimately, any entity who would like to sell or develop systems for European clients need to define processes as per GDPR, need to train their developers or employees to follow those processes, and have some sort of devices or technology in place so that
Hmm.
data is secure.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So definitely. So even like as a software vendor, software developers, we also have to comply to lot many things. Even like we have worked on a couple of projects where we just have to work with the test data, which is not anywhere actual client data. Staging servers are even hosted in Europe. We are accessing it in a very controlled environment. So all this is matters when we are working for GDPR, like working with the European clients or European products. So definitely, GDPR is a very tough
Yes,
law.
I mentioned they are having stringent process for data deletion or purging also. For
True.
example, if work has been finished, somebody had departed your system, then you should purge the data so that it is again not going to remain on your system, and the chances of disclosure will remain.
Right.
So that is also defined. Like
Agree.
once work is finished, you need to remove their data.
Agree. Agree. So, so now, when we talk about IT security, usually to all our product development clients, we recommend them to have a vulnerability assessment and a penetration test to be completed before going live, and even on every major releases. But from as an expert, can you describe in a brief about what is VAPT, why it is important, and how frequently it should be done for any product?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, you can always create security policy. You can just second
Sure.
online. Yeah. So sorry. So you can obviously take all sort of proactive actions. You can have some detective or deterrent controls as well. But ultimately, it is to be tested, right? Because unless it is tested, you are not sure, or your assurance level will not be defined. So once application is developed and you are going to launch it, security testing is paramount. Like any other QA process, it should be
Agree.
done so that you are having security posture of your application or your project. So there
Right.
are two kind of tests available. One is vulnerability analysis. It is called VA. That is
Right.
basically testing from inside, testing within system. For example, we can log into your server and then run scanner from there, or we can run some sort of tools so that whichever vulnerabilities are present,
Hmm.
they will be disclosed, and obviously solutions will also be presented so that we can plug those gaps, and we can again make our system more secure. So
Right.
that is VA. Second is PT. Irrespective of logging into server or logging into system, it is like testing from outside. For example, PT will not consider logging into system. Penetration would happen from outside. Whatever controls are in place, can we penetrate like hacker? So security researcher will try to penetrate your systems from outside, from internet. And
Okay.
obviously, if he is able to penetrate somewhat, or whatever malicious code can be injected, or denial of service kind of attack will make your system down, or if any of such vulnerabilities are there in your system, then it will be detected in penetration testing. It is from outside. So by checking system, within inside, and from outside you will be able to make sure that whether your systems are secure or not, and what is posture. Obviously, whenever you are starting your journey with VAPT, first report would not be expected like your systems are secure. Probably you need to comply, I mean, plug many gaps. Gap assessment would be carried out using these VAPT tools as well as manual efforts. Tools
Right.
are there, but obviously subject matter expert will try to penetrate manually, and you
Right.
will have combined report of tools and SME review.
Hmm.
uh, Again, frequency is slightly subjective. For example, it can be quarterly also, it can be yearly also, but at the most you need to do VAPT frequently, with frequency of 1 year at least. Because see, security is again cat and mouse race. For example, if you have secured everything today, and if you are checking down the line, or you will see like Microsoft is releasing patches or finding vulnerabilities each and every month. Patch Tuesdays are there. Similarly, it applies to all vendors who are providing middleware to our systems, who are providing operating systems to our system, who are providing some sort of components to our system, and same applies to us as well. As like it is combination of all those components. So it will happen that new vulnerabilities are disclosed, new solutions are being provided. So securing system today doesn't mean it is secure down the road. So
True.
we need to check frequently. We need to even apply security patches during the course. We need to uh, take many actions based on criticality of our systems. So if it
Right.
is, I mean, business requirements are stringent, then I think quarterly VAPT should be done if we are
Okay.
following any stringent compliance. But
Okay.
if systems are slightly not that much critical, then yearly frequency should be fine. But
Okay.
year is obviously a period after which many things might have changed. So even compliances are also kind of yearly. Like you need
Right.
to go for yearly audit.
Right.
So with yearly audit, you can do VAPT and then audit can follow.
Right. So minimum a year it should be required is it is required. Quarterly is recommended, and maybe like we usually recommend also when there is any major release of the
Yeah.
product that we are doing. At that time, we recommend to go for VAPT, and so that like that ensures particularly the data safety of the users.
Yeah,
Right.
you rightly mentioned functional part. For example, if you are having many changes, then obviously, if you have changed so much, then obviously VAPT should be done, because
Right.
earlier assurance might not be true for new system.
Right, right. So having said that, like many of our enterprise clients usually ask us like, why cloud? Why not in our premises? We earlier had to have our software running in our premises. We have servers, we have data backups, everything we have in our enterprise. Then why you want to host our software in cloud? To answer that, I would like to ask you that how secure is the cloud, and whether like it is more recommended to host the system on a cloud as compared to the local servers in the enterprise.
Yeah, so see, as we are aware, cloud means we are talking about public cloud, who are number one, two, or three, like AWS, Azure, or
Right.
GCP. So
Agree.
we know they've spent huge amount, they have invested hugely in these clouds. So obviously, other customers or enterprises or people like us can't invest in that proportion, right?
True.
So we can fairly say that they have secured their cloud. Obviously, security is again different ball game. Even some vulnerabilities might be disclosed in their clouds as well,
True.
but still they are spending a lot. They are having so many, means thousands of customers, so they can obviously go for much spend on security.
Right.
and they are obviously securing, they are providing all sort of reports, all sort of compliances they are following. So they have obviously secured their cloud, but it is shared security model. So we need to secure our endpoints, okay,
True.
because they can't go in our endpoints, or they don't have any intention to uh, enter into our systems or see our data. So
Right.
they will restrict themselves at cloud level. Securing
Exactly.
endpoints is our responsibility. So just cloud security will not help. We need to secure our endpoints.
Endpoints. So
But
that is
compare,
security and VAPT comes into the picture.
yeah, absolutely. And compliance also, like they can
Yeah.
provide, AWS is compliant with SOC 2. But what
Right.
about us? Like our data, our information, our servers should be secured by us.
True. True.
But compared to on premises, at least compared to enterprise data center, at least
Hmm.
cloud is better placed. Cloud is more secure. That's what we can say.
Okay. Great.
And second aspect is PaaS services or managed services.
Right.
When we are taking any of managed services in serverless kind of environment, or let us consider RDS kind of or Azure SQL Server kind of managed database service, then even security of those services are owned by respective cloud service provider, whether AWS or Azure. Then our responsibility will be reduced.
Right.
So
Right.
that is always better. Like footprint is less for us.
Agree.
So
Great.
H1B cloud is either we can say more secure, or at least we are seeing more security controls at their end. So
True.
that will help. And nowadays, again, focus is shifting from server to serverless, or from
Serverless.
IaaS, infrastructure as a service kind of offerings, to platform as a service kind of offerings, where
Right.
many of managed services are used. So end users' responsibility will be reduced
Will be
accordingly, sometimes drastically. So it is always better.
right. Okay. Great. So it's a great discussion with you, Kalpesh, and I believe we all viewers have learned a lot from you. Like before moving from this, like I just think like if you can give some tips to the end users who are using variety of the applications and social medias, what they have to take care for securing their personal data, that they don't accidentally share it with anyone. So what things they have to take care while using any of the mobile applications or the social media, if
Yeah,
you
so
can give
for end, yeah,
tips.
so for end users, they should be following some sort of hygiene. For
Hmm.
example, nowadays passwords should be complex, at least 15, 16 letters strong. Earlier, 8-letter password should be considered enough, but
Right.
now 8-letter password can be cracked within half an hour.
Okay.
So nowadays, 15, 16 letter complex mix of alphabets and letters with special characters, all those things are required. If you are
Okay.
having 16 character complex password, then hacker can't breach within days or weeks as well. So
Right.
you are secure. Similarly, you should follow other hygiene. For example, if you are completing some task or getting some project over, then you need to remove your data. You need to unsubscribe, or whatever deletion is required. You need to follow that. You should not forget, like your data
Right.
is still right there. Similarly, you should not be lured by free, because there is nothing free in this world. So whenever
Agree.
somebody is offering something free, you should be cautious. Like
True.
when there is nothing to sell, they are going to sell your data. It is sure.
Agree. Agree. True.
So you should not be lured by free, because those are the points where malware is getting introduced into your
Those systems.
desktop or laptop.
Right.
So
Right.
these are some basic hygiene.
So one common like observation which I have seen is like many times people install the mobile application, create the user, use the application, and they simply uninstall the application before deleting their user from the system, and their data gets stored to those application permanently for maybe infinite
Sometimes,
time. So,
sometimes,
so
yeah,
yeah,
it,
at least
it
for
will be
some time.
decided by app owner.
yeah, so so this is something which usually users has to take care that before uninstalling the app, or if they have to delete their user, they
Yeah.
have to delete their data. Same for, like as you rightly mentioned about the freemium or free apps and free
Yeah.
things, uh, they should see what kind of permissions the application is asking to access the data from the mobile application, because by default they ask for the permission for the contacts, for the phone, like files and images from the system. So this is very
Yeah.
critical, and it's about data privacy. So uh, the users has to take care of this.
Yes, so you need to remember when you are uninstalling any app, you
Yes,
are removing it from your device, your mobile device or
yes,
your computing device. But
true,
their servers are going to have your data. So you need to
right,
remove your user, you need to unsubscribe or whatever is required to get out of their system first. So
right.
their servers will just purge your data, and then obviously uninstalling your device will help. For example, if somebody is trying to hack your mobile, then that application is not there, which by chance becomes medium to get your device hacked.
Great, great. Thank you, Kalpesh, for all your time and all your knowledge sharing. It is definitely very useful for all our clients who are into startups and the enterprise domain, as well as for the users and the viewers of this video. Uh, so that was Kalpesh Shah from Cloudserve Systems. He's an expert in data security and privacy, and so with Kalpesh, we have worked on many assignments where we have achieved compliances for our clients, and ask any questions to us in comment section, and we will be happy to answer. Thank you very much for watching us. Have a good day ahead. Bye for now. Bye, Kalpesh. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Pranav. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Have a good day.